This is the Panda Lounge Podcast. My name is Dylan, and the other voice you'll be hearing in just a moment is Matt. And I just wanted to give a quick little intro to our listeners before we get into the episode because we kind of just reacted to the episode right after we saw it. We jumped past any kind of formal intro or anything and just started getting into everything that happened in season 4 and that crazy ending. So just, before we jump into all that, I just wanted to give a welcome to all of our listeners and just to let you guys know that if you like what you hear, make sure to like and subscribe and also comment what you thought about the show, what you thought about part 1, especially that ending. And yeah, if you like what you hear, just stay tuned because we have a lot more Ozark content coming up that we're going to cover. And also we're going to cover a lot of other shows and movies, so definitely stay tuned if you like what you hear. All right, let's get into the episode. Initial thoughts.
I'm still coming down. Like, I'm really afraid for Ruth. I'm kind of thinking she might be going for something a bit too big here.
So I think, for me, the question going into part 2 is, does Ruth make it out of part 2? I feel like that's the biggest question. One of them.
I think the better question is who is going to even make it out of part 2, let alone Ruth. Like, I have a feeling part 2 might be part 2 might be a bloodbath, low key.
Okay, well, let's see. Let's run through where each character stands going out of part 1. So
start with Marty.
So with see, Ruth is a liability now.
Yes, she is.
I feel like wherever the birds end up depends on Ruth right now, because if Ruth blows this whole thing up and kills Javi, then they're dead.
Even if she tries to kill Javi, I feel like they're dead.
Probably.
Like even if because I can't remember who it was, but somebody mentioned to Javi, like, oh yeah, that tiny girl with the curly hair. So I think right now they know that she is kind of like in their pocket. So if she comes after Javi, even if she like comes at him and doesn't really succeed, I still think the birds are in trouble.
I don't see how they make it out. Well, okay, here's I think that both Wendy and Marty survive, and I don't see how Ruth can survive. But I mean, anybody's fair game at this point. I wouldn't even be surprised if like Jonah died or Charlotte.
I think the kids might be the like. I could honestly see maybe Marty dying. I don't know about Wendy, but I can't see the kids. I can't see the kids dying for some reason. Even though we just saw Wyatt die, I can't see Jonah and Charlotte dying.
Well, here's a question. I guess it's funny. I've gotten so caught up in all the plot that I kind of forgot. Do we even want Wendy and Marty to get out of this? how do you feel about that? Like, do we want them to succeed?
I want Marty to get out.
And you want Wendy to die?
Wendy punched her ticket. I'm sorry. When she started going on about how her brother was lost, how Ben was, how they couldn't find him, she went in to the morgue to identify a dead body that she knew wasn't Ben's.
Yeah, she might be too far gone.
She's too conniving at this point. Like, she's fallen into that life. Like, Marty, I feel like, again, we saw like bits and pieces of Marty's like humanity throughout the season. Like, even like when everything was going on, Marty was still like, can we please just enjoy dinner, or like asking, Jonah to come home for the night, like stuff like that. So Marty, I could see Marty getting away from the life a little bit cleaner than Wendy. because Marty hasn't exactly been chumming it up with like Navarro and all the higher ups of the cartel. Like even in the jail, Navarro said, "You disappointed me, especially you, Wendy."
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a bit more riding on Wendy. I don't think she can just cut and dry, just get out of the life like that. I think she's too far in.
And the thing about her is that she enjoys it.
Yeah, so I feel like she wouldn't even want to get out.
That's kind of what Navarro was alluding to. He was like, you're afraid of just doing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I don't see how Wendy and Marty stay together. I mean, I think it'll be a situation like they can never go back to just being like a happily married couple. Like they might always love each other, but I mean, I don't see them buying like another house in Chicago and just settling down.
No.
Maybe Marty.
It's too late for that. Yeah, I could see Marty maybe.
She'll probably try to run for office or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I could see that, honestly, before. I just feel like too much has happened for them to go back to just normal, like 9 to 5s. Or even, I mean, I guess they would just retire with all the money they have.
I just don't know. Like, I don't know what's going to happen with Jonah because my thing is he's so young. Like, that's what. Okay, here's a question. I've been thinking about this, and I didn't, when we were watching it, I didn't ask you. Is it unrealistic how much freedom like they're allowing? He's only 14. Like,
I would say so if it wasn't for everything else that was going on.
Mm-hmm.
Like they have people breathing down their neck like 24/7. And I feel like the last thing they're really concerned about is like disciplinary actions for their teenage son.
I'm just thinking like in terms of state, because I mean he's a criminal at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. Like, not even like, oh, bad Jonah, don't do that, but just like our son's gonna die if he keeps going down this road. Like, I just don't see. I think if I were to make, well, it depends. We can talk more about what happened now, like what just happened in the finale, or we can go with predictions, or we can say that for the end. But if I were to make one prediction, it's like I kind of think all 4 members of the family are gonna like go their separate ways, even if for a limited period of time. Like at the end, I can't see them all staying together.
No, I don't think so. And I don't know how they would be divided up if like all 4 of them are just by themselves, or like 2 and 2, like the kids stay together and Marty and Wendy stay. I'm not sure. I don't think they're making it out just all 4 together though. Something that had my attention right at the, like when the episode was like the last episode was wrapping up. Do you remember in episode 1 of this season when we had that scene like right before the first intro when their van flipped and they like got in that car accident?
Yeah, what was that even about? I forgot about that.
I don't know. That's what I was thinking. I was waiting for that scene. So I'm thinking maybe that's something in part 2.
Either that, or if anyone listening knows, because that totally, maybe it was a dream and I just am like not like, because it was the opening scene of season 4, right?
Yeah, it was right before the first O.
That feels like, so I have no idea, honestly.
Yeah,
but I mean, we didn't get to Darlene.
No.
And and Wyatt, aka whoever you are.
You are Darlene Snow. Okay, so since we're here, I feel like we got to talk about the coldest character to come out of season 4.
Mr. Javier.
Nephew, Navarro's nephew Javier. Oh my goodness. Never in such a short amount of time has a character just come in with a smile on his face, pastries in his hand, and flipped an entire show on its axis.
He is the nicest mean person I have ever like laid my eyes on. How many times did he say "Hola, Marty"? Like I can't. And then just go and kill people.
No. The part that was scariest for me about Javier is that he was kind of polite until you actually got him to that point of no return. Like even after he in episode 7 when he beat Marty to a pulp, he was like right after he was done, he was like, how about that scotch?
Yeah, no. And the scariest the genius of his character is that going into season 3, especially considering how season 3 ended with Navarro killing Helen, Navarro was set. I think it's very rare that a big bad of a show has an actual threat that changes, because I mean Javi coming in, if you think about it, Javi coming in changes the structure of the entire show. Not just him doing what he does, but just his existence as a threat to Navarro changes Navarro's actions completely.
Right.
Whereas
we had no idea.
No.
Yeah.
And before going into season 4 was just okay, it's going to be the Birds versus Navarro, and who would have expected them to work together?
Right. Yeah. I a couple of times throughout the season felt like Navarro was much less of a threat than Javier. Not that Navarro wasn't threatening, but the fact that Javier had Navarro kind of worried instantly just kind of made Javier scarier than Navarro.
Yeah, and I think also going into season 4, it was already interesting enough with just Navarro versus the Birds, but they didn't seem like they were interested in having a big show off. I think they kind of subverted expectations by having it kind of be a show off between Navarro and Javi, but that was kind of behind the scene. It was just kind of everyone drawing shots against each other. It wasn't there were no sides. There were there were absolutely no sides.
Mm-hmm.
There were 5 to everyone was on their own side. Even the kids, even Marty and Wendy, honestly.
Yeah. It was, I feel like there were little alliances, but I wouldn't say that there was a black and white, in season, in the first, I feel like in the first 2 seasons, you could really tell who was with who. And now we're kind of in more of a gray area where who's on whose side just kind of changes from episode to episode.
Even when you think about everything that happened with the FBI.
Yeah.
I kind of think when you really sit back and think about it, I think what happened with the FBI was the most surprising moment of the finale in terms of just I was not expecting that at all.
Well,
were you expecting them to cut?
I was not expecting them to cuff Navarro. No,
I wasn't. I mean, even just the fact that they basically double crossed Maya and wanted. I mean, they kind of made the FBI look like a joke.
Yeah, they did.
And I mean, it's crazy because I'm just thinking. I mean, I feel like they kind of also fit with the theme of just there are no sides. Everyone's just out for their own best interest, because the way that Wendy and Marty even got them to try to work something out with Navarro after everything hit the fan was by bribing.
Yeah. Yeah. It was it was a bit, sometimes it was a bit like tough to keep track of who was with who and like why people were where they were at, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think it was
like Mr. Signature. I just need a signature.
What was it? Was Mel.
That's his name?
Mel, yeah, it was Mel something, like Mel Saddam or something.
I have no idea. When I saw him, I just thought Signature or Helen or both.
Signature Man.
No, yeah, that's what I'm gonna call him because I don't know his actual name.
I'm like 99% sure it's Mel Saddam.
Mel Signature. But no, I still don't entirely know what so is he? I don't know. I feel like it was going somewhere with him, and then towards the end, like it just did. Like I'm assuming that they're gonna save that for part 2.
I think he's heard and seen a little bit more than we are being led to believe. Like he's really sneaky. You know, he saw the security footage from season 3 of Jonah holding Helen at gunpoint. He heard the conversation that Jonah and Charlotte had. Like, he knows that there's something else. Like, I'm pretty sure he knows that the birds were, at the very least, involved with. He knows that Helen is via con Dios. He knows that she's no longer here.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely.
Like, he's not stupid. And I also think that the whole I just need a signature thing is a little, I think that's a bit of a lie. I feel like he's after a bit more than just divorce papers.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen a divorce attorney risk his life for a signature.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, this dude was every episode knocking on their window during dinner, like, I just need a signature. Please.
I'm just like, I'm kind of surprised Marty didn't just snap and like beat him up one of those times, honestly.
If it were Ruth, then I think we would have seen some hands, but Marty isn't.
If it was Darlene, he'd be dead.
That's very true.
I think there's something so special about the way she kills people, and I hate her. But
it's because she has that. It's because she has that shotgun that has like, I don't even know. Like, I don't know guns, but it's one of them like Big John's. And that like blows people away. Like I think it's just the fact that she would shoot people and they would fly like 10 feet backwards. Like Frank Cosgrove was like in the kitchen, and after she shot him, he was in the living room.
He was like on the couch. Like he went across rooms. The thing about her too is that like I think what was so crazy about her death, and like we'll get into Wyatt a little bit, but what was so crazy about her death is that the way that she killed people and the way that she moved was like so over the top, and she just died. Like she just got shot in the head. It was just simple as that. Like if you can think of the deaths of like every other character in this show, including Frank Cosgrove, it was way. I mean, he flew. Cade got mollywopped like 12 times.
Petty got his like face caved in.
Like people in the show don't,
and like Russ and his brother got deep fried.
Sue got sunk in a Lamborghini,
and then that one lady just like fell down the hill. And
Sam's mom got hit by a bus. Like people don't just die in this show; they perish.
Sam's mom was a Looney Tunes death.
No. No, I so like that's like I was fully expecting like the most
A fight.
brutal, yeah, no, like the most brutal, like despicable, vile death for Darlene, and she just got shot once in the head.
Do you want to know what it reminded me of a lot? Ironically, I don't know if this was on purpose, but it reminded me of when she shot Dell.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it was just so sudden. Like they were just talking and she was gone.
And
And then
they had been telling her for like I think like 2.5 seasons or something. Like
at least
like
2.5 seasons.
Darlene, please stop this.
Stop with the poppies. She's been overstaying. I'm surprised she made it this far.
I mean I think it's crazy that they managed, and he's like I think it's interesting because like her as a character by herself, she has nowhere to go. She's a one note character, but the
Mm-hmm.
way that's the thing that the show is good at is they make characters start to service other characters, because the whole purpose of her being around was just to drive Ruth to do what she does in season 4.
Mm-hmm.
She had
Mm-hmm.
no other purpose.
Right.
Well, for the most part. But
well, someone had to get rid of Frank Cosgrove.
yeah.
But
but did they? When you think about it, didn't they really?
I don't really know. I feel like he could have just gone somewhere else.
I think
he wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only thing that I can think of is that maybe in part 2, that like that whole thing brought her and Cosgrove Jr. together, and she gets Cosgrove and the mob to go after Javi.
That's just sounding like war at that point.
Well, I mean, I believe in Ruth, but she has to have some help.
She can't go in there by herself.
If I was to lay down, I'm not good with predictions, but if I was to lay down one prediction, I feel like very confident that she's gonna get the KC mob behind her.
I'd say so.
Who else is she gonna? Who else would he like? Who else is there for her right now?
There's no. I mean, 3. Other than him, I think she just has the KC mob. I think she's going to need the KC mob, though, because she can't go in there just with, a shotgun, Venom, and 3.
Yeah, no. So yeah, that's why I'm thinking.
And plus, I think they went a ways to show that Frank Jr. and Ruth, even down to like that really good scene in, it was either episode 6 or 7, where she said, like, I've been through this too. Like, I lost my dad last year. Like, it's not just like oh, sorry, I beat you up. It's like hey, like, I know what you're feeling. Like, they're relating to each other. Like, it's almost like they're becoming friends.
They're becoming friends. I hope they don't try to become anything more. I don't think that would be smart for the show.
No, we don't need that.
I hope this show is unafraid to do anything.
Oh yeah, I know.
So I mean, I don't think, I'm kind of surprised that they even like, I think it was kind of bold of them to even have the two reconcile.
I thought Frank Jr. was dead after season 3.
I'm surprised they even gave him more screen time, considering the amount of like assault. Even though she did push him off a boat, but it's rude.
Yeah. But I think the whole reason they gave him more screen time is so she could have that tie to the KC mob.
Yeah. I just hope that she has a happy end. I don't know. Her life, I've never seen him, like, just the amount of tragedy.
It's bad.
And it's hard
like,
because
it's like guts level bad. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's something that I've been thinking about, is like, I love Ruth. I love Julia Garner. How many times are we going to see her just like catch an L?
Well, I mean, if she keeps upping the ante like she did in episode 7, that performance at the end was insane.
That's probably one of the best acted scenes I've like ever seen. And I'm not well, and I'm not well. Okay, I took it. I felt it the most. I'm not gonna like because like I love the show, but I'm not gonna try to throw like hyperbole around. But
Mm-hmm.
I it took me a couple minutes to like just calm down after
It was
like when
intense.
she was screaming.
Yeah.
The way she was screaming, like
Yeah.
no, I that was a new that was a side of Ruth that we have not seen, and we've seen. I thought we
Right.
saw almost every side of her.
Right. Because it's hard to up the ante with someone like Ruth because she's always shouting and swearing and threatening to kill people. She did a really good job of making it seem like it was a bigger deal than all the other times.
Yeah, I think like this is rock bottom for her. It has to be.
There's nothing left. There's nothing left.
And I still don't see actually I don't know. I feel like this show is so unflinching with its story, but at the same time, I don't know if you can survive killing a character like Ruth without her getting some kind of victory.
She needs to get something before, even if she doesn't, like, she needs something.
I mean, at this point, for me as an audience member, the only thing that satisfies me with her character arc is her getting out of the Ozarks.
Yeah, same.
Nothing else lives. Okay, she kills Javi. Okay, what about all of the other things that have been done to her? Like, there's nothing to make up for all of that.
No, she has to leave. She has to leave the Ozarks. I agree.
I don't know. I mean, I think. Do you think? Do you think that Ruth is in danger from the birds? Like, do you think that when I don't think Marty has it in her, but do you think? Well, you know what? This show could do anything. Do you think that they would try to kill her?
No,
You don't think so?
I don't. No, I don't think Marty would. I don't think. I of course I don't think Charlotte would. Jonah wouldn't. Maybe in like season 3 he would have, but not now. And Wendy may suggest it, but Marty's not going to let it happen.
I wouldn't be surprised if Wendy tried, and maybe Marty doesn't let it happen then.
Yeah, I don't see any of them actually succeeding. The only one I could actually see trying would be Wendy.
Yeah, also because when you think about, they just had the scene at the end where, well, this was before the blow up, but Marty was like, "Can you look out for my kids?"
I don't think she's thinking about that right now.
No, that's the last thing she's thinking about.
Yeah,
This would have all been avoided this would have all been avoided if when Frank Cosgrove originally beat if Frank Cosgrove Jr. was dead right now, half of these problems would have existed because they would have had a hold on Ruth.
Yep.
Like, we forget that, but that's one of the, and they maybe probably definitely probably would have been out of this entire mess.
Yeah, for sure.
And like, I wonder if they're just like, part of me wonders if they're kind of like too heartless to get themselves out of this mess. Like, they can't help but not be in the pit with everyone else. Especially, I mean, Wendy, especially. I mean, Marty might be finally, but I mean, because if you look at it, even Charlotte is like, I don't know if you remember, because Charlotte's barely had an arc, but what she has had is her kind of just being like, okay, I guess I'm, supporting the family now, even though we're criminals,
Mm-hmm.
but she's just like, I guess this is my job now.
Yeah.
So they've all
I
changed. Like, I don't see.
yeah. I think Charlotte is definitely taking more towards Marty's whole outlook on the situation, and in a different way, but Jonah, in the same sense that Wendy threw herself into it, is throwing himself into it, just on the other side.
Yes, I mean, part of me wonders if they're even, well, because I mean, you've seen the thread too. I mean, they could have gotten out in season 2, but Wendy wanted to stay.
Right.
So I don't even know. There might, again, I wouldn't be surprised if another opportunity presented itself for them to get out. But again, and maybe that's kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, where maybe Marty takes that opportunity and Wendy doesn't, or something like that.
Yeah, I could see that. And don't forget, in the last episode, Marty said something about, I just want our kids out of it, or I just want our kids safe.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see that. Like, they're already laying the foundation for that. Like, Marty's wanted out since, geez, like season 1.
Yeah, like end of season 1, he was like, oh, bad idea.
Yeah. So they've definitely been laying the foundation for, like, the two of them want two different things. Should we move into top 5 moments?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, you want to go top 5 characters or top 5 moments of the season?
We can go moments first, I'd say.
Okay. I can't. Well, I can't. I'm not going to try to rank, because I'll just start drawing a blank, because there's too many good ones. But
yeah,
I think in terms of just most iconic moments from the season, first has to be Javi killing Darlene. I don't know. Just and with Wyatt too. I mean, there was so many.
You are Darlene Snow. I'm sorry, whoever you are.
Okay, here's my question before we go. Because I have to ask this.
Yeah.
What was the better execution? That scene or the scene with Nelson and Sue? Like, who was colder?
Because gosh. Oh no, this is like choosing between two of my children. So that scene with Javi killing Darlene and I keep wanting to call him Noah for some reason, and Wyatt. That scene is like my child who like became like an astrophysicist, and he's like in space now and like saving the world and stuff.
What? I was not expecting you to go there.
That scene, the scene with Nelson giving Sue a Viking funeral in the Lambo, is that's like my underachieving child who like they're just rocking out with some plants.
Yes.
If that makes any sense whatsoever. Like, I can't choose. Like, recency bias wants me to say that it was Javi killing Darlene and Wyatt, because that's fresh in my mind. But
Nelson set up an appointment. He probably had to file paperwork, like put his full name. What's the reason for you coming here? He probably put like my crippling divorce or something on the form to set up the appointment. Like, I guarantee you, because Nelson has too much fun with this stuff. I guarantee you, Nelson went into like intense detail, like like on the little check marks, like what symptoms have you been having? Do you think he probably just hit yes for everything?
Disgusting detail.
Yeah, no. She probably preparing for Nelson, she probably thought he was like the most far gone patient she's ever had. And
she thought he was she thought he was Ruth.
No, yeah, like I guarantee I'm just thinking just the fact that he set up an appointment and did all of that to then just shoot her and then drowning her in the Lambo just does it for me. I think Nelson's got that.
It might have to be Nelson killing Sue. That
was absolutely ruthless.
That was insanity.
Yeah, like I don't want to go back because like we're on season 4. I don't want to go back to season 3, but it made me think of that scene with Nelson. But if for me,
well, Javier, let's not forget that Darlene was a thorn in our side since season 1.
Oh yeah,
and just with a swiftness, she's gone.
Well, and I mean,
Javier decided it was time.
Not that we care about Wyatt really, but he was also a season 1 character. Gone.
He was. The Langmore family tree is.
The Langmore curse is real.
I'm starting to believe it.
I don't see how you can. 3's in danger.
Good.
I was kind of expecting more from this season, but anyways, not to get off track. Second, we've been on Javi a lot, but top I'm not ranking, but if I was to rank them, this would be top 2. When he stole the police car, the sheriff's whip, I can't. No. I've never seen. I mean,
that's one of the most savage things I've ever seen in my life. He said, "You're the sheriff. You're the sheriff."
He did. And I think it was like a perfect intro to his character too. Like he's coming to wreak havoc on everyone in this show.
He sure did.
And the police.
Well, so far we have the same 2.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna throw one in.
Yeah.
This one is more of like an emotional moment of the show was when Ruth and Wyatt were talking and Wyatt said that he was going to marry Darlene, and before he left, Ruth saying, "Can I at least come to the wedding?" And that moment was made even more sad for me when I was thinking about it, because that was the last thing she said to Wyatt.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, she never saw him again. And he just shut her out. Like, so that was the very last memory she had of him alive.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, that's
gotta be no. Yeah, I mean, just from like a quality, not just like a comedic, but from a quality standpoint. I mean, and then the acting too. Like, I was about to cry. Like, I've never. I mean, I was starting to. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was starting to worry that Julia Garner was getting too comfortable in her Ruth performance. Like, it was still great, but you know how actors get after being in a role for years.
Yeah.
But what the last like 2 episodes, like she stole, it felt like her show, kind of.
It did.
I mean, yeah. I mean, give her the Emmy like now.
Oh yeah. Definitely.
But yeah, I would that's a good pick. I think for me, if I was to throw it in there, let me think. I gotta say this isn't a moment necessarily, but so I mean, we can be loose with the moments. The
Yeah.
storyline with Wendy, just the through line of Wendy dealing with Ben's death,
Mm.
and the
Yeah.
fact that she was lying to herself about it, and she was like, just I think it's I think it was one of those cases where it's like it's a lot of times I think it's bogus when people throw this phrase around, but I think it was actually true in this case where you tell so many lies that you actually start to believe your own lies.
Yeah.
Like I think most people just lie, like they just lie. But no, I think she really was starting to believe
Mm-hmm.
that like Ben was just
Somehow could
missing.
find, yeah. I
And I
think if you were to, sorry, what are
no,
you saying?
go ahead, go ahead.
I think if you were to like culminate that into one singular, just like pinpoint it in the series, it would probably, for me, it would be when she went to the morgue, either when she went to the morgue to identify the body, because I think one of us said this when we were actually watching, that she went there to say that it, like, who didn't matter who it was, that it was him, and then she was going to use that as like a publicity stunt. But the fact that her dad was there kind of ruined it. Either that, or when her and Marty were talking, I think it was before she left for that when Marty said that Ben wasn't missing, Ben was dead, and that she can't just keep running from that. Those two scenes really, I think, went to show, like, we, as a viewer, you had to like watch Wendy get like talked out of it or talked down from it, you know?
I mean, she was starting. I don't even think you can call it reckless. I think she was just losing any shred of morality she had left.
No, it was gone.
It like died with Ben, and I think Marty was like trying to be like, hey, you're still like a human.
Yeah.
Like not just a series of like moves and counter moves, because that's all she's been
Mm-hmm.
doing. And I think
I'm
she was
really
even
glad.
starting to do it against Jonah.
Yeah, she was.
And he even said that.
When she turned off the power and went to the lazy O to turn off to change all of his passwords.
And casually send him to prison. My favorite part is I mean, most people when they have like they say something crazy like that, it's just a passing idea. Like, no, she did the research. Like she talked to Jim Rattlesdorf. Like she did the research to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
Can I safely send my son to prison? But yeah, I mean, I would just say another top thing for the season was her, just the whole side story of that, I would say.
Yeah.
Um, you go for the next one.
I had something in mind. Oh shoot, I can't remember. I think it was. Even though we gave Jonah a storm before season 4.
Yeah, because he's the
But
worst.
I mean, he is, but his whole arc he had a really strong arc this season.
He did.
I wouldn't say that was one of my, like, I can't really think of like a certain moment when he really stood out. Like, for me, it would just be like the conflict that came out of the two of them. You know what? No, forget that. Actually, I just thought of a different one. When Marty and Ruth, I think it was at the end of season or episode 5, when they
Yeah.
were just
Yeah.
talking on the couch, and that was before Ruth started like working with Marty again. I didn't think we were going to see them team back up together. That was really great to watch that.
And then, you know, when she was like, what was the point of lying about Ben?
Mm-hmm.
And Marty was like, I wish I knew.
Mm-hmm.
You
want to know another really good, it kind of got overshadowed by everything else that happened, but when Wendy went to Ruth's trailer for Ben's ashes,
yeah,
that was intense. That was really intense.
And it was wild to see Wendy and Ruth kind of like fight over Ben.
Yeah, I mean it. Julia Garner gave a really good performance this season, but Laura Linney also
she ate this season.
She really, I would say those two were probably the best of this season, like performance wise, like from an actor standpoint. I'd say that those two definitely brought it home.
And then obviously Jason Bateman's right there with them.
He's a constant. He has the character of Marty down to a science at this point.
Even just the way, I mean, all of them. I think one thing that this show gets, like, the way these characters talk, they even have cadences.
Mm-hmm.
Like each one of them, and I'm talking about, I'm not talking about every character. I'm talking about Ruth, Wendy, and Marty. Like, they're some of the most fully realized. They don't feel like characters. They just feel like people in situations.
Mm-hmm.
Navarro still feels like a character that's been constructed by writers like Javi, like pretty much everyone else. But those three, and I think that just goes, like, I feel like that's a different caliber of acting.
I'd say so.
Like, I think that, because, you know, I forget what the phrase is. I think it's like 80% of good acting is like the script, or it's something like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like with those characters, it's like 50-50. Like, there's certain things that they bring to those characters that other people just wouldn't be able to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
So, I mean, yeah, no, that was a good scene between Marty and Ruth. And I'm trying to think of other ones that really, I want to think. Marty kind of, it's weird. He didn't take a back seat, but he didn't have like a singular like solo moment. It felt like.
I wouldn't say so. I mean, I'd say that this season was largely Ruth, Wendy, and Jonah as far as like arcs go.
Yeah,
I'd say they kind of took a front seat this season.
What's weird, because I mean, it's kind of, if you really think about it, it's kind of been like that since season 2.
I mean, for some of them, for Ruth and Wendy, yeah, but not really for Jonah.
Well, no, not Jonah, but in terms of like, I feel like Marty's consistently taken a back seat.
I wouldn't say from season 2. I like season 3 maybe, but I thought Marty was still a big part in season 2.
I don't know. I just hope that, like, I hope he gets a few moments that are solely his own, because he's such a good character.
Well, I mean, remember in season 3 with when he threatened to hang Frank Jr. from a bridge in Juarez?
Yes.
Like he has little things like that just like sprinkled throughout the series. He's still the main character.
I just want them to like reinforce that, because there's so, and it's all good. Like, there's so many characters, but like, I love Marty so much that I want him to have like 1 or 2 more like character defining, like, this is Marty Bird moments that we can look back on.
Yeah. So while we're on characters, do you want to do top 5 characters and then wrap up?
Yeah. So I'm thinking, I do want to rank these because this is fun.
Yeah.
I think for me, Okay, so are we going quality or are we going personal favorite?
Whatever you want to do. I would say personal favorite, just
Personal.
so I feel like quality is more objective.
We already know. I mean, like our number one is let's say here. Okay, here's the thing. The obvious number one is Javi, but like, how much time do we spend on Javi? Because I could talk for hours about Javi.
I feel like we should just say Javi and then just leave it at that. We spent like half of this recording talking about Javi at this
Okay,
point.
but we haven't gone into okay, but before we move on from Javi, I just need to reiterate what gets me about him, why I love him so much, the fact that he's always so happy. Like I brought paste like he brought pastries to the
no pastries. When he said, you know, I always liked Helen. I thought she was sexy, like a scary teacher.
Like Navarro doesn't have a sense of humor like that. Dell didn't even have a sense of humor like that. Like, this guy's funny.
He's young. That's the thing. He's got nothing to lose.
No. And then when he was trying to bust a move on Charlotte, like, and then with the doctor lady, like, he was
fiending. He was out here for anything with the pulse.
No, actually,
it didn't matter.
Well, it was either he wanted to either get with any female that had a pulse or kill anybody that had a pulse.
Anybody that had a pulse, and especially Darlene.
Oh
From episode 1, I think one of the first things we heard him say was, "So what are you gonna do about the heroin farmer?"
Well, it was, but no, he always just said that hillbilly.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's Del reincarnate.
He is.
So I mean, yeah, that's I can't. I want him to bring more pastries in part 2. I want him to play more. I just want him to do. I want Javi to keep being Javi. So that's 1. I would say 2.
Ruth.
Yeah. Ruth.
Yeah. Ruth. In the best way, it was more of the same from Ruth. She's such a good constant. And one of my favorite moments was when right after she brought Jonah on for the operation, and Wyatt said, you know, you always mess everything up with your temper. And there was just a long pause. And then she was just like, no, I don't.
That killed
that took me out. She won't even acknowledge the fact that she's punched out like half of the cast of Ozark at this point.
She's probably punched out like 1/10 of the population of like the Ozarks.
She is. Ruth is Thanos.
Her body count, like her kill count, is crazy.
It's
over
insane.
The course of the 4 seasons. Yo, she's probably killed more people than like Del. Navarro's a stretch.
We counted it at one point, right? Like it was like 11 or 12.
Literally killed is not
like,
right. Not killed, but like, you know, just punched, injured, maimed.
Get some.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would say Ruth 2 in terms of my favorites. I would say 3. I gotta say Wendy, even though I despise everything she does.
When she popped a squat for front row seats to see Darlene have a heart attack. That is one of the most cold-blooded things. She watched a senior citizen die in her driveway and said, "Namaste." She sat crisscross applesauce, and you know they didn't show the ambulance call, but you know she was like, "Oh my god, someone just collapsed in my driveway.
I don't even know what to do. I don't even know what to do.
I don't know what she just collapsed." Wendy is there to manipulate and gaslight the population of Louisiana.
No.
She said no. She said gatekeep, girl boss, gaslight.
No, she really did. She is the most toxic character like in cinematic history, and I love her.
It's bad. She's the future of Ozark.
Yeah. And I think like it is interesting because I feel like they do such a good job of like because it's kind of like this show has such strong female characters, but they're also not afraid to have those female characters do awful things just like the men in the shows. Because like before, like with a lot of these type shows, the criticism for the main female character has been, I'm thinking like Breaking Bad, Sopranos, that like, oh, the wife always gets in the way, or the minute the wife does something, she's labeled as like, you know, a problem, or and she doesn't have any development. No, Wendy has total development, is a fully fleshed out character, and also happens to be a horrible person, but is still like you still like her as an audience member.
Honestly, the women might have the men beat, like in terms of atrocities.
Development,
I mean, and both. Like they're both putting up numbers.
I mean, if you go.
Here's my question.
Yeah.
Are we putting? We have the same list so far. So my last two are Navarro and Marty. What are we doing with them? 4 or 5?
I gotta go Marty 4 because I mean, you could. It's weird. I feel like with this season, the more if you think about it, none of the the only character that really truly changed was Jonah. That's the only character that actually changed. Everybody else wants the same thing, has done the same thing. It's just more of the same in a way that's somehow still interesting. But I would say Marty, just like in season 3, but especially season 4, like literally all he wants is just his family to be back.
Yeah, this season really went to show that Marty wanted a regular family life.
How many times did he say, "Can we just have dinner?"
Oh my gosh. It was like every night that they started arguing. Every time he saw Jonah, it felt like he was asking him just to come home, have some dinner.
Yeah. And I think that it's interesting though, because I do think that Wendy does have a point I think Wendy was doing too much and Marty was being like a touch bit too passive.
I'd say so.
I think in the whole Jonah situation, I think Wendy was very much like, Jonah, I'm your mother, but like when like Marty needed to be like, I'm your dad.
Yeah.
Like the kid's 14. You know what I mean? And I was saying this to you as we were watching it. I was like, I'm not necessarily saying that I think when one parent is not like, when their methods are not working for whatever reason, and it's just not hitting with the kid, it's up to the other parent to step in and be like, all right, let me try. And Wendy, it just wasn't working. Like right now, Wendy was not vibing with Jonah. Jonah was not hearing what Wendy was saying. And I think Marty was kind of more just like, Wendy, stop, but not doing anything other than helping him cover up his money laundering crimes.
Well, remember in episode 1, he was like, oh, laundering money at 14. She was like, don't be proud of him. He was so proud of him.
He was. So this where it's like Wendy has some points. Like, and so I mean, I think Marty, he wants, and they're really good at drawing things back, and they haven't touched on this a ton, but I wonder if because you know how in season 1 he was so separate from his family, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if he really wants them to be together, but I wonder if he doesn't even know how.
I don't think he would.
Like he doesn't even know, like he's been so distant from them from so long. He probably doesn't even really truly know how, and he's just going based off of instinct. And it's more like he's just asking everyone, hey, can we all get along, instead of being like, all right, like here's how we're gonna get along. Because I mean, how would he's been like out of the picture up until now in terms of like family investment.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe that's kind of why like, because Wendy's like, you don't do anything, you're not trying. And I think it's because he doesn't know what to do. He's just like, well, whatever you're doing isn't working.
Yeah.
So I think that could have been, but yeah, I mean, I think still it's really interesting what's going on with him. So yeah, I would say 4 for him. And then Navarro, I agree with Navarro being 5. Although I don't know. I really like Maya Miller. I really like.
Oh yeah.
No,
actually,
she might be she's my 5. She's my 5.
I think I agree.
Because of the fact that that was kind of a whole side commentary on just working in the government, like all of the fact that she got pretty much screwed over by her superiors, and how she's such a good character because she never wavered even when it seemed like she was going to. And that's what all of these like prestige era like dramas, the good guys always waver and compromise their morals, but she never really did that. She
would have been such the easy way. Sorry, I interrupted you. It would have been such the easy way out, just to make her be like, oh, I'm with the birds now, and like helping them along with their investigation, or what, not investigation, but you know what I'm saying. And instead, I think one of the last things we heard her say in part 1 was when her mom was, after Navarro got arrested, and her mom was like, what did you do? She said, my job. I think that is like something, well, not top priority, but definitely priority over Marty and his family.
And I think, and I think that's also just, I mean, she has such a sense of pride about her, like in the best way. And she was like, I am not just going to let Omar Navarro walk away. And I think even if she got fired, she's like, I took down one of the biggest, like, I mean, like, I did that. I would too if I were her.
Yeah. So, and when we do a more like in-depth review of the season itself, I think we're definitely going to have to talk about Maya a bit more, because she had so many good moments in part 1. Like one of the most frustrating scenes was when they were in that like abandoned mall, and one of her superiors was basically saying, so we're not just going to take down Omar Navarro and end the war on drugs, but like, what, he's supposed to like not even try? Like, it was such a weird, I mean, probably realistic, I don't know, but like such a weird line. Like, I'd be frustrated. I would have taken matters into my own hands too if I was her.
Yeah, I just don't know where she goes now.
Who knows? Maybe she'll help the birds now that she's seen that the FBI is no good.
Well, I guess the thing about her is it has to align with her values. It has to align with like her, like she has to feel like she's doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she feels like helping I mean, what Marty's going to have to do is dangle like another another like Javi or something. Like she's gonna have to dangle somebody in front of her to get her to work with them to figure this all out. But if I were to give another prediction, this is like I mean, it's not a hot take or anything, but she'll probably be fired or dishonorably or whatever the term. I mean, absence of leave, whatever.
I think it's dishonorable discharge. No, I think dishonorable discharge is military.
That's military, whatever it is, hand in your gun and badge, basically.
Yeah.
And that will free her to actually maybe toe the line like a little bit more.
Yeah, I think so.
But also, she's got a kid.
Yeah.
Like, she just gave birth.
Yeah, she's got to be careful.
So, yeah, I mean, but I like that top 5 honorable mention to Navarro.
Yeah.
Before we wrap, I mean, where does Navarro? I mean, like, what? I can't imagine his stories out of. I don't know. I mean, like, does he have any gas left in the tank? Like, in terms of like his story arc.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
He's not done.
Don't think so. He looked real sad at the end.
I don't think he's done, though. I think he's still something just fell down.
I don't know. It's whatever. I'll cut this out.
Whatever. So I don't think he's done, but I don't know how significant he'll be in part 2. I think part 2 is mostly going to be Hoppy.
Which is just I think that's like the biggest bait and switch. Like, I just did not expect that. That's
the biggest swerve of the show, I think. I had no idea. We didn't even know Javi was, a person.
Yeah, I would say season 4 had the most actual twists. Not surprises like, oh, they died, like, but actual plot mechanic, like twists, like reveals, I guess. Because I mean, Ozark is very good at the surprise death, but there's also something to just straight up twists,
Yeah, I agree.
So I'm thinking, anything else you want to, any final thoughts on the finale, the season as a whole? We're gonna go more in depth in a future video, but final thoughts on. Well, you can. Floor's yours. Go wherever you want.
I brought pastries. No, actually, I'd say that this season had me most on edge than all the other seasons.
Gosh.
And we kept saying it like, how can anything be worse than season 3? And this was
That's
worse.
Very true.
I don't even remember half of what had me stressed out in season 3 now after this.
Yeah, no, season 3 was chill.
Yeah, season 3 was.
We were just out here vibing with Helen.
Oh, I miss Helen.
I miss Helen so much.
I miss Helen a lot.
I think this show did so much. I miss her, but not in a way that takes away from season 4.
Which is saying a lot.
Yeah, Helen was incredible.
Yes, she was. I was gonna say something, but I'm gonna save it for the in-depth review. I think it is time to wrap things up here.
Yeah, I guess I would. I can't.
Unless you have any more thoughts before we go.
Part 2 can't come soon enough. This is. I know you haven't seen Succession, but this is tied with these Ozark and Succession, best 2 shows on TV, best 2 shows in the last 5 years. It's, I mean,
this for
is
me
next level.
Yeah, this is like the mecca of just, I mean, in general, like it's this for me. It's this and Midnight Mass.
Yeah,
you should do.
We're gonna cover Midnight Mass. We have to.
Yeah.
Not to start a whole nother topic, but if I'm going top shows, I'm just gonna count this in as 2021 because I feel like it, because just because it is 2022 barely started. If I'm talking
It's
the last 12, yeah, if I'm going last 12 months, best shows, yeah, if I would throw Midnight Mass in there as well. That would be my top three.
Yeah,
We'll have to cover that in a different video. But yeah,
for sure.
that's it. That's it for us. Our reaction on just part one overall, the finale. We're gonna have a lot more coverage to come, some other upcoming videos. So make sure to like, subscribe, all that stuff you normally do. And yeah,